Sherlock Holmes 3 might end up being a pipe dream, the cinematic equivalent of the IP-based franchise industry's white whale. A third installment of the dramatization of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's most iconic detective and his sidekick has been considered for nearly 10 years, but it still hasn't begun production or even received a release date. There are some good advancements for the franchise as a whole, so it's not all terrible news for fans of the world of crime solving. In April 2022, HBO Max and Warner Bros. Revealed that they intended to extend the Sherlock Holmes universe, so to speak, with two prospective spin-off TV series. Instead of focusing on recurring characters, each series would center on a fresh face. A new release date for the movie wasn't determined after it was postponed from its intended December 2020 release date. Here is what is currently known about a hypothetical Sherlock Holmes 3 with that in mind. Sherlock Holmes 3 potential release date. When will Sherlock Holmes 3 be out in cinemas? The third movie was originally scheduled for release on December 25, 2020. However, Warner Bros. Later pushed that date back one whole year to December 22, 2021. But as you may have noted, no movies were released that year. There isn't even a rumored release date for Sherlock Holmes 3 as of making this video. Director Dexter Fletcher said, "It's one of those awful twists of fate, where the epidemic hit and that sent people around the world to the wind. However, I am well aware of the enormous appetite for it, and I'm sure that others are as well. However, I think it ought to be made because it's amazing. I sincerely hope so." The possibility of TV program spin-offs was also discussed, although it appears that if that were to happen, it would be after the third film had been released. Furthermore, since so little is known about the third film, it is difficult to even guess when we could see it. They seem to be aiming for a December release at all times, so if development begins this year, it might be December 2023 rather than December 2022. Sherlock Holmes 3 cast. Who is returning for Sherlock Holmes 3? Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law have both been confirmed to return as Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson. Obviously, as it wouldn't be the same without their bromance, if we even get a third movie. There is currently no information available regarding the potential reappearance of Kelly Riley, Stephen Fry, or Eddie Marsan, but we wouldn't be shocked if they didn't at least make a cameo. At the conclusion of A Game of Shadows, Jared Harris' outstanding performance as Professor James Moriarty appeared to be over, but we wouldn't rule out a comeback. Sherlock Holmes 3 plot. What will Sherlock Holmes 3 be about? That's a really large task, as Downey acknowledged back in October 2014. But we want it to be the finest in the series. Therefore, which evil from Sherlock's past will the great detective face this time? In the first movie, Mark Strong's Lord Henry Blackwood, a supernatural would-be world ruler, was pitted against Holmes and Watson, while Professor James Moriarty, Sherlock's archenemy, appeared in the second movie. As was already stated, Harris' chances of coming back are slim. But in that same episode, Holmes was meant to have passed away, but instead, the detective pretended to be dead before unexpectedly showing up at Watson's office. Our bet would be on Moriarty making a comeback, hopefully with Harris resuming the part. Batman would not be as amazing without the Joker as Holmes would be without Moriarty. However, Harris doesn't appear that certain about making a comeback, telling Digital Spy in March 2018 that Moriarty wasn't in the most recent screenplay he had seen. It remains to be seen if this will have altered by the time we begin filming. We do know that it is set a long time after A Game of Shadows, which makes sense given how much time has gone since the events of the first book. We intend to further the plot. As always, their codependency lies at the heart of the narrative, Law teased. Since we haven't seen them in a while, we're going to play up the notion that they haven't seen each other for a long time either, said the Examiner. Since spin-offs are anticipated, the third film may introduce characters and plot threads that will continue in those spin-offs, similar to the way the MCU does with its multiple TV shows and movies. Susan Downey, a producer, has been talking about it since October 2020. She said, "We do think there's opportunity to expand it, to spin off certain characters from the third film. We do have some huge goals and schemes, but it requires a lot of work. Again, Marvel wasn't created in a day, so it requires a lot of cooperation." Sherlock Holmes 3 trailer. Any Sherlock Holmes 3 footage yet? It will be necessary to wait until the film is truly in production before we can estimate when we will be able to watch fresh clips, but it is probably reasonable to assume that nothing will be released anytime soon. You'll have to watch the first two films again for the time being. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more.